Well, anticipation is building around the globe for the fight of the century between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. The two are facing off in a Las Vegas ring for the title of World Welterweight Champion, and the mega fight showdown has a purse of about $300 million. Mayweather, the undefeated favorite, will earn $180 million. Pacquiao will take home the rest. Money raised from the sale of the weigh-in tickets went to charity. Well, for a closer look at the richest fight in history, I'm joined by broadcast journalist Mark Gray. He's previously worked at ESPN Radio and now hosts a radio sports talk show on CBS. Mark, great to see you as always. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here with you, Susan. How are you doing?
We're good. So for those unfamiliar with boxing, break down what's at stake today between Mayweather and Pacquiao.
Well, in a boxing sense, it's all about the championship that Mayweather holds, but to a bigger extent, it's about the Mayweather legacy. I mean, the guy's undefeated, but this is a fight that fight fans have been clamoring for about a half decade, and many would argue that it's 5 years late in coming. However, you look at the business acumen of Floyd, the way that he's been able to brand himself as a bad guy versus Manny Pacquiao, who has the nation, the Philippines, all behind him. It's an interesting clash, and the legacy of both fighters coming to a head here. Many people want to mention Floyd Mayweather in the same breath that they do Muhammad Ali. A loss here tonight would go a long way towards damaging that legacy. He says he wants to fight one more time. He fights and he loses tonight. He just may have to come back for a second or third time, and there's something a little different about Mayweather this time.
Mark, tell us, is there a way to, really we're speculating here, but to actually target what it would come down to in terms of technique in the ring as to who wins this?
Well, it's an interesting clash. There's an old boxing axiom where styles make fights, and you got two guys, with Mayweather being the taller fighter by 2 inches, which gives him a 2-inch reach advantage. He's known as the best technical fighter in the world, which means he doesn't absorb a lot of punishment. He also has some of the fastest hands in the world. Some of his previous opponents have actually said that you get lost in his defense and his jabbing and forget the fact that those jabs will actually hurt. Pacquiao is a relentless, what they call southpaw, which means he leads with his left hand. He also goes about the business of delivering a lot of power shots. However, he's been knocked out before. Floyd Mayweather has never been knocked down. So I think that would be an interesting mix. I, as a fight fan, sports journalist, would like to see how Floyd Mayweather handles that moment. We've seen great champions get up and come back to win fights, i.e. Ali, i.e. Sugar Ray Leonard. Wondering if that would happen to Floyd Mayweather. Nobody's been able to do it 47 times before, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if Pacquiao was that man tonight.
Mark, tell us how, in a nutshell, how fighting has changed, let's say, in the last 5 years in terms of technology and pay-per-view and how people make money in this sport.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head. It's about pay-per-view buys. I mean, you're talking about the two biggest draws in pay-per-view boxing. Floyd Mayweather averaging about $25 million take home. And remember, of his reported $170 million that he just spends on his lifestyle, this is a guy whose business acumen has taken him to using just the sport without any endorsements to augment his income. I mean, he's making this in fight revenue. So we're talking about a guy who's generating $420 million strictly through pay-per-view boxing cards. He had power enough to leave HBO to go to Showtime. So his team really has done a great job of creating the business model for marketing yourself through your sport, and Mayweather's done that, and Pacquiao has been right there with him.
So, Mark, this is really going to come down to, this is not about tonight, really, in terms of money. It's about what will happen after tonight in terms of endorsements and where you are on the ladder. Is there, you hear about this in the boxing world, about fights being fixed. How do you know that this fight is for real, that it's the real deal?
Well, I don't think that's a great question, Susan, because there's been so many shenanigans leading up to the fight. when you start talking about the dope testing that Mayweather wanted Pacquiao to take, and Pacquiao finally relented. You know, you've got these judges who have, you know, refereed both guys' fights. You supposedly have the best referee in the world. So there's always the potential for something. But I'm interested to see if it's a close fight, who the judges go with. I mean, it would make a lot more money. You could have another payday like this if Pacquiao wins in a decision. Well, you know, Mayweather's the master of the outpoint the opposition
Mark,
fighter.
let me just ask you really quickly before I gotta go. Who do you have on tonight's fight?
Well, with recent rumors coming out of Las Vegas, I'm going to roll with Pacquiao. Something about Mayweather says that his game is not what we used to see, but
going for the underdog. All right.
Were it not for that, I'd probably roll with Mayweather.
Mark Gray, always great to see you. We appreciate it. We will see. It's going to be an exciting night in the boxing world.